All right, so we're gonna do what I sometimes do on this tutorial, and that is to say that I'm not planning anything, okay? Because I had a vision for this project, and there's a bunch of shots from the set. It's supposed to be a little bit of a 90s throwback. This shot, you might be able to see that it has like a Bratz logo on it on the jacket. You know, it's a little bit of a camp kind of pop glam kind of vibe. But in shooting it, I had some limitations. The studio that I like to work with here, there's a few that I use in Houston, you know, had some limitations here, but in terms of the space, in terms of the lighting opportunities and everything else. But I had the basic look that I wanted. But where are my problems? Well, a couple of problems that I had. One, the white paper was just destroyed, and there wasn't much more to give up here. It was pretty much all the way unrolled. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to get a perfectly clean floor. And of course, as you can see, using the very wide angle lens, this is a old Canon EF 1740. It's about a 27-year-old lens that I love. But as you can see, it makes that background fall away, right? So because of that, even though it's a 9-foot seamless, I barely got her on the white. It's, you know, the roll of the papers on top of her head, or through her head, I should say. And I had this idea, even though I'm not clear on it yet, of what I want to do in terms of the styling for the shot, because I want it to be sort of 90s. I want it to be, hopefully, evoke some kind of retro feel. In terms of the color, in terms of the production. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do yet, but I have some basic ideas. So I thought, all right, instead of just diving into this, I want to make a tutorial as I dive into it to kind of let you guys see what my thought process might end up like. So the first thing I have to consider is, all right, what do I want to do with my background? And I know I want a pretty clean white background, but there's some problems other than the dirty floor, which we'll try to address. But there's also this shadow right here, which weirdly enough is my shadow. When you are as wide angle as I was, that light source coming mostly from like directly behind me can affect things, because you just see things that that 20 millimeter or 23 millimeter might see in the shot that you didn't think is even possible. That's actually my shadow. That doesn't help. I don't like that. I want it to be clean. But she has her real shadows here, of course, right? You can see where the light source is basically coming from. So I have to consider that. But I want a clean white background. Now, Photoshop, Adobe in modern times makes things fairly easy. I've duplicated the background layer. I'm going to go ahead and do a subject selection. That's number one. Now, when you do something like this, especially when she has a little chair, that's actually a piano, a piano stand, I guess, not stand, a piano chair for a little electric piano. And it doesn't look like it selected the chair. That's fairly common. It has a part of it selected here, but not here. We're not going to worry about that because that should be a simple fix if we, once we get everything in place. So let's go ahead and Command J or Control J. And now we have her on her own. That gives us at least somewhat of a clean start to see how we're going to clean this background. Now we have a couple of options. Now, the reason why I have to make a decision on what approach I want to start with, apart from just, hey, I don't know exactly what's going to work, is that I think about the kind of look that I want, because that will affect the technique that I use. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and underneath her, I'm going to go ahead and label it as just subject. Okay. Underneath, I'm going to create a brand new layer, and I'm actually going to paint with white. Why? Because even though we don't want to completely blow out this to pure white and we have a dirty floor we have to contend with, behind her, we can do basically pure white. There is an issue, of course, with the wispy hair, which we'll address if we need to. But for the most part, I'm just going to paint, which means I'm going to zoom out a lot. Choose white, maybe choose like a 20% flow so I can kind of bring it in on its own layer, of course. And then I'm just going to start painting and see what happens. Okay. Now, when you do these big brushes while I'm recording, especially a big soft brush, it might look something like that. Let's go to a 30% flow and maybe a little bit bigger still. Okay. Something like this, something like this. I'm also not too worried generally about overspray, as it were, because I can clean up anything with a mask. So no big deal. But as you can see, it's starting to work out. Now, sometimes I will do this and actually intentionally try to either reflect, not reflect necessarily like a reflection, but try to account for the vignette that might be in place, by painting gray on the edges or whatever. But when I know I want pure white like this, for the most part, I have a lot of freedom. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit there. There we go. Okay, actually, this is not a bad result, to be honest, guys. Not a bad result at all. Let's zoom in. First of all, I want to be concerned about the wispy hair. Man, Photoshop did great there. Yeah, it cut it into it a little bit, but that's all right because it's kind of glowing, kind of that white glow. There's no puff balls, as I like to call them. I think this is pretty solid. Okay, something like that. Now, it's a little less freedom, as it were, on the floor, because I don't want that to be pure white. To give you a counter example, this is what it would look like, and that just doesn't look like anything to me. So I want the floor. I'm going to create a mask in case, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to actually. I'm going to create a mask in case I have to bring back some of what's underneath here, including the chair and some of the area behind her. And you might think, what about this big ugly shadow? And then what about the dirty floor? Okay, we're going to get to all that. A lot of times when I work on these reconstructions, I'll do that in like a procedural thing, right? So you'll see what I'm saying here. In 1 minute, I'm going to go ahead. Well, let me see here. I messed that out a little too much. Let's fix that. Something like this. Okay, very careful. Masks that sneak themselves into your final edit are hugely annoying, and it happens more than you'd like to consider when you're doing this sort of thing with some regularity. So let me see here. Hold up a second. Let me just kind of clean that up. A little tricky, obviously. You know what? Let's just start over there. Hold up a second. Let me see here. Let me see if I just clean that. Will I be happy just like that? Yeah. Again, I want to repeat, I did not plan any of this. I am literally improvising as I go here, and you guys are watching this in real time. All right, now, this area down here, that is a bit of a problem. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave it where it is, but I'm going to put on a curves, not an invert, a curves. I'm going to go ahead and put it on luminosity. Blend mode to minimize color shifting. Going to brighten a certain amount. And then I'm not going to use like I'm doing dodge and burn or anything. I'm not going to use some kind of a 1% flow, but maybe something like a 5% flow. And let's see what happens if I brighten some of this area with a nice soft brush, very organically. Again, what this similar to skin editing, this will help me brighten the floor without ruining any possible texture that might be there. Yeah, we're going to minimize that texture in a minute, but still, I feel like curves is going to be the best option to minimize this, what looks like obviously a mistake, a shadow that shouldn't be there, right? We're going to see. We're going to see. So far, not too bad. Now, we have her separated already. That's important. We're going to keep her separated because we might have to do some other things. In fact, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn her off for a second. No, I'm going to leave it there, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stamp everything to a new layer. Shift, Option, Command, E, or Shift, Alt, Control, E. Snap it all to a new layer, and then I'm going to use that subject, hold down Command or Control, click that layer to get that selection again, and now I'm going to duplicate her on top yet again, okay, but kind of with the new seams around her. Very, very subtle little change. It's just a matter of procedure because sometimes you don't have subtle changes. Sometimes you have more radical changes, right? Okay, now, with that said, what's going to happen if we try the classic median on the floor, right? This is usually what we do to clean up paper or something like that. Let's see. All right, so like always, it's going to work, okay? If we turn off the preview, see, it's going to work, but obviously we have to contend with some areas that need to be unmasked, as it were. So we'll hit OK. And of course, we don't need to do everything behind her. So we're going to let that process. Because it's over 100 radius, so median's got to do its thing, especially on a 16-bit image. And then we're going to try to clean up again what we don't need masked and see what we can actually keep and what's going to be useful, what's going to distract us in the appropriate way without distracting in a problematic way. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got a mask on it. I'm going to paint with black, and we're going to clean up everything behind here because this does not need to be medianed, as it were. So. By the way, forgive me, I got a little bit of a sniffle, possibly allergies, not sure. All right, now let's continue and let's see what else is happening here, right? So we have there. Obviously, we have to contend with this, which we can do fairly easily. Now you might think, that mask is terrible. Nino, what is this horrible mask you're doing? I know, but that's because I'm going to change the opacity in a minute, and that's going to help things look a little more natural without worrying about super detailed masking. At least that's the theory, right? Okay, make sure there's nothing up there. Mask is pretty solid. Okay, something like that. Now, what happens if I put it 80%? Let's go ahead and zoom in. I know you guys tell me on these videos you can't see much. Okay, so on the edges can be tricky with median, and sometimes I do the double median idea, which I have other videos about, but I think this one actually be okay if I just take a small brush, bring some of that median back, and then we're going to change the opacity again, probably a little less opacity. I don't mind a little bit of the floor texture. I just don't want it to be completely outrageous. And yeah, it was bad. When I shot it, I was like, oh God, I want to use white, but the white is just, and the floor was not white in that studio. That was not going to be a thing. Some median residue there, pretty common. More median residue there. Loves those angles, median. I don't know how the math works, but I just know that is what happens with median. So you have to look for it, neutralize it, and move on with your life. Usually won't happen, of course, on flat areas, but when you get to these corners, that's when things make median do the things that it does. Oops, that's too much there. Okay. Couple edges there. Okay, now let's take a look. I mean, honestly, that's passable, you know, and maybe even 75% opacity. So we've gone from this to this. As you can see, it looks a little more deliberate, a little more intentional. We still may brighten the floor to make that pure white. We might darken the shadows. I don't know yet, but for the most part, this kind of works. In fact, we can do a quick little demo. Let's go to levels on top of everything we've worked on, but underneath the subject. And then if we brighten with white, maybe not pure white, what if we shift this? In other words, we're not bringing the maximum white point up, something like that. And then what happens if we bring the shadows a little deeper? Okay, boom, boom. That gives us a little idea. We're brightening. We're still keeping our shadows intact, but we're brightening a bit. Maybe a little more. Very subtle difference, probably too subtle. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Don't mind the pure white. That's fine. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Honestly, this is heading in the right direction, I think. I'm going to leave all that alone yet again. Shift Option Command or Shift Alt Control E, put it on top. Now this is going to be just kind of my working edit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call it that. Working edit. This is after the reconstruction from here to here. Now I can go back and I can change things as I need, but let's take a look around. When you do compositing, which is not exactly what we're doing here, but when you do compositing, there's often a lot of checking that you might overlook. And when you're doing lots of multiple masks, whether it's a commercial thing or some kind of fantasy scene or some kind of just mix of elements, it doesn't matter. When you do these type of things, you need to double check close up to see where your masks, align and where they don't, and where things break and where things fall apart. Like I have a weird spot right there that I don't love, but it looks like I can solve it with just a little bit of a curve, basically a dodge and burn or a dodge in general. Looks like I should be able to solve that. At least that's the theory. So let's see, put that maybe 5% flow. Let's see if we can solve that little bright area. Rather than remasking the whole situation, I think just brightening it might work, maybe. Let's just see if I'm making that up. Better, definitely better. Okay, something like that. I don't mind that so much. All right, now let's flatten that. I'm gonna flatten that curve because it's just some simple little edit. No big deal.